everybody. We are now preparing and readying ourselves to do two type of potatoes. First of all, let me introduce potato one to you. Hash brown potatoes. Practically, you could purchase it as it is, or you could get your machine that you could actually go ahead and shred it up. But if you are a person that like a good hash brown, especially like I do in the morning, these potatoes are already shredded and they're bagged. But we're gonna take these potatoes and we're gonna turn them into a potato cake. We're gonna turn them into you could choose to eat them as a breakfast potato cake, or you could also utilize them as a meal in itself. You can eat it by itself, or you can eat it with something else. So these are potato hash browns, hash brown potatoes. So we're going to be utilizing that. Also, we have some diced potatoes, as we can see as well. Some diced potatoes. We're gonna pan fry all of this, and we want it to come up golden brown, where we're gonna utilize that for a breakfast pot. On the stove in the back, we have two sauté pans. So we're gonna go ahead and get one of these bags going. And we're gonna practically kind of do it one at a time. But once the oil has gotten hot enough for us to go ahead and do that. Meanwhile, let us go ahead and make the preparation for the potato cakes. So in making the potato cakes, we're gonna use several different type of herbs. I like using the scallion. We'll be using some cilantro, fresh onion, and thyme. Again, that's some scallions, fresh onion, which this and this is family of each other, but they give off a two different type of a flavorant and taste, as well as some fresh cilantro leaves and thyme. Okay, thyme leaves. We're going to utilize the thyme leaves from these. And what we're going to do is to make us a batter. Okay, we're going to make us a batter. So first of all, what we'll do here is get the runway clear a little bit. And in accordance to the amount that you're making, will determine the amount of vegetables that you would want to use. I do like a lot of vegetation, especially in the cakes, in these potato cakes, because every bite has you want to basically get a complete flavoring in it all. So what you want to do, make sure that your scallion doesn't really have any scaled or dead leaves, or leaves that's timing out. You want the fresh part of the herb itself. If you're using the right and particular type of vegetables, you want the best. You want the best of the vegetation in your mixture, and try to eliminate all the things that is excess, that is not needed. Scrape it down a little bit, just to make sure that we're at the core of the actual chive itself. And just so that you know, the longer these stay in the ground, it develops the onion. It will develop the onion. As you can see, the bottom part, as well as an onion, is practically the same root. The longer it stays, the more the onion develops. So this is the younger version of the early part of an onion in itself. All right, so we're gonna take some of these scallions and I'm gonna practically kind of chop them down. I'm doing a thin slice because, as I say, in every bite, you don't even notice that you're actually tasting it, but it's going to be practically throughout the entire batter mix. So it's the reason why I'm cutting a thin slice, because I'm going to chop away at it for a second, and I'm going to add it to the batter. Alright, now I'm gonna rough chop it. You don't need to fine chop it, just kind of rough chop it. Then you can go ahead and add that to your bowl. Likewise, you're gonna do the same thing with a whole onion, just to get you in this process or procedure. You don't need to waste anything. If you could use it all, use it all. Again, what you're making is some nice potato cakes, whether you choose to use it for breakfast or you would like to utilize it for anything otherwise. It's entirely up to you, but at least try to make it to the point where you're going to be able to enjoy it as well. And likewise, you want to give this also a rough chop, but just a little bit more to define it. Not like the scallions, because those are a little bit lighter. So you want to kind of take this down just a tad bit more. Chop it up. See, all of this comes through the ingredients of the cakes in itself. Just a little bit. Pretty much like that. Layer it all together. Likewise, we're going to do the same thing with the thyme and the cilantro leaves. In this particular sense, try your best to get as much of the stem out of the way, practically, because you don't really want to be biting on those stems. But overall, you want to make sure that you get as much as the thyme leaf that is going to be chopped away into the dish in itself, so that it actually you would be able to taste it. I mean, it's just phenomenal when you actually have that herb placed directly where you really need it to be at. And it makes every bit of the taste even more extraordinary. If you ask any chef, if you don't have some good herbs to go with your food, and you ain't getting it nowhere. It just look like, but you don't want it to just look like. You want it to look like, and you want it to taste like. So that's what you got to consider. You want You want the looks, the scent, the taste, all of it to just burst like Starburst. You know, when you eat some good Starburst and you taste all that juicy flavor, all that ingredients that's in there, well, that's what you're gonna get out of this. Oh, and by the way, also, this is kind of well, actually, it's another method that you could use this also for in preparing some other type of island dishes as well. But we're just going to utilize the most simplest factor because we are making these potato cakes to get it there to where we want to have it at. Right? So I think that should be just about enough of the thyme leaves. And then we now with this, now you need to fine chop it. Try to fine chop this as much as you can. Maybe a little bit of stems in there, but it'll be the softer side of the stem, which is gonna pretty much kind of disintegrate into the mixture. Not gonna really taste that in itself too much, but all right, so there we go. Nice herbs in there. Okay, now we're gonna go with the cilantro leaves. Notice as I'm holding the stem, I'm pulling upward to try to extract as much of the leaves from off of the stem. Quite much of a difference between the cilantro leaf stems and the thyme stem. The thyme stem is more of a stick. This is more of a vine. So, in as much as you probably have some stems in here, it's more closer to a leaf. So it won't affect anything much more so than just chopping it away to the finest that you could get it. And all this does is also it adds a very unique blend of flavor because it's natural herbs of herbs essence, the essence of the herbs that brings out even more in what we're working on. So we are going to utilize all of this. We're going to add it in there, and then we're going to prepare it like you are making a batter as if you're preparing for baking a cake. Or for those from the islands, you probably like making the comforter. And the comforter batter is practically in the same format of putting this together. Right. Alright. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead on and start the potatoes. Then the heat, the grease is hot enough so I can go ahead and add this on here. Keep in mind that these two types of potatoes, one is diced, The diced potatoes will be going as a breakfast potato. And the other one will be the hash brown potato cakes that we're gonna prepare in the second pan. Once you're doing it like this, no need to add no flavor or no seasoning at all to it. Allow it to go ahead and be in its natural form. And then after it's finished, that's when you salt it. Not before, but after. Right, so that's going to take a little while. Because you want it to brown. You want it to get down to that core where it's going to be brown enough to be served. And meanwhile, you come on back on this side. Where here we have all our herbs for the potato cakes. We have the onion, the cilantro, the thyme, all of it is, and the scallions. All right. We have a salt pepper mixture here, which we're gonna go ahead and add some salt pepper to it. Open up the potato cakes. Hash brown potatoes, I'm gonna go ahead and add that in there as well. Whether you know it or not, this is a lot in comparing to what it just simply looked like, just a few little bit in the bowl. But it's entirely a whole lot. So we're gonna go ahead and want to mix all of this in. All right, you want to kind of get all of the hash brown potatoes to mix in completely or blend in with the herbs that we have already tapped in there. Then we're gonna add some egg, water, flour. We don't want to make it thick. Keep in mind that the potatoes are prepared in a way so as they're in the oil and they're frying, that they basically form a you're looking for the form of the hash brown. So we're gonna add in some eggs and our flour. Ready? While you're mixing all of this together, keep in mind that you're going to need to add in a little bit of salt as well as pepper, because you want that blend up. You want this entire mixture, which is called potato cakes, to have an evenly balanced taste of both salt and pepper throughout it. You don't want to make it too salty. You just want the flavor to be right at the peak of your taste buds. Don't put in too much flour either. You just want just enough flour just to give you a slightly look. I'm even adding a little bit of chopped parsley in it because I want it to look pretty much more closer to a garden type taste, a garden type look. Alright, so that's where we at concerning our mixture. Alright. Wanna make sure that in the process of us putting this into the saute pan that we are going to we want to make sure we have it scooped practically to just about the right amount so that we don't overdo it. What we're gonna do, we're gonna use a what was this, a 25? I believe this is a 25. So we're gonna use this and bring it on over. Just before we touch that, we wanna move around these potatoes just a tad bit. You can use a metal spatula or one of these, basically a strainer, a hand strainer is what I call it. To kind of move these items, these potatoes around, so that it's not just cooking only on just one particular side. We're gonna leave that nearby because we're gonna need that. And as it relates to this cake now, so we go ahead and we get us a scoop of it. Get us a scoop of it. Want to kind of press that out a little bit. If it's a little bit too much, take a bit off of it so that it's not over bulging. And then you just go on ahead and layer it in there. right, now all we have to do is just keep watch, allow it to brown and on one side, then we're gonna flip them over and basically allow it to brown on the other side. And then we're gonna set it on a green, put it on, basically gonna allow it to go on some paper, whereas it does not remain wood. Okay, as you can see that they're starting to float, so that indicates that you could go ahead on and flip it over on the opposite side. The minute you start seeing that it's start developing that floating process, that means that you could go on ahead and flip it. leveling these out. And drop in another batch. As you can see, this process does not take that much of a time. It doesn't take that long of a time process. You could make the next batch just a slight bit less on the browning, simply because it's going to go through, you might need to do a heating process, and you kind of want to have it a little bit to the moist, on the moist side, and not too much on the well done. But you could have it well done if you're going to go ahead and serve it right away. Keep in mind, the hotter your grease, the quicker you need to move. But don't go too fast before yourself, that you're gonna cause yourself to have a backsplash. Thing that I like about breakfast potatoes, because once you've gotten your potatoes cooked, then fried, pan fried, that's what we're doing here. Then literally once you take them out to the side, you saute some onions and some green peppers, and basically all you do is just mix it in with the potatoes, you know, a little bit of salt and pepper, and voila, man, you the best of two worlds right there. As I say, for this next batch of potatoes, we're not going to allow them to brown to that much of a brownness, but we want to have it still at a moist, bit of a moistness to it. So we will just do that during the process, so that we're keying it right on point. When they're ready to serve, you will have that nice little, as you can see, if I break it open, as I break it open, you could kind of still see that the hash brown potatoes, and you see the herbs in between there. So like I say, you don't want to dry it out, you just want to have it to a bit of a moistness, so that if you need to heat it back up in the oven, it does not dry out. It has a moist taste to it. during the process. Kind of skim the oil from a lot of the potatoes that's breaking off. As you're getting ready to drop a batch at a time, you might need to do this during the process. Basically, all you're doing here is skimming all of the browning, all the extra potatoes that are pretty much becoming, getting in the way. And you go right back to your normal procedure. Alrighty, go ahead and take these up out of here. Sorry. Move away. Now with the breakfast potatoes, you really don't need to actually cook them until they're all crispy. You basically want to have them to brown in a way that a light brown, or not all the pieces, not every bit of the pieces are going to be brown. So you're going to have a bit of a mixture of brown and white. That's practically what a breakfast potato is like, because you really want to know more that you are actually tasting much more of the potatoes. As I said, just your flavoring alone is what's going to make much of a difference. And try not to overpower. Always remember that. Salt too much, keep in mind, is potatoes. Potatoes carries a sodium that's within the potato itself. So, and that just comes naturally from the minerals in the soil. So you don't want to put too much, add too much to it just to get you what you're looking for. It's best to always have it to a point where you could add, but you can't subtract once it's in there. Once it's in there, you cannot subtract it. When all of this is blended with the onions and the peppers, and just a tad bit where they use seasoned salt. That's why I did not put anything on these potatoes, because you could always flavor it to what particular what type of seasonings you would like to put on it. As long as you keep it more closer as far as you could, close as you can to the natural, is what you are looking for. And the very mere nature of making these hash brown, these breakfast potatoes. And it's just like considering potatoes that is made at McDonald's. You know, they usually come in already pre-salted a bit, but not primarily heavy. And some, like most of the time, they use the Idaho's, so that everything that you're using is straight from nature, and nature's own way of automatically already seasoning it to a particular blend of flavor. So you don't want to add more of the preservatives to it that is going to take away from what you're working to to add to your the conception of your dish. Because if you do so, as I say, you'll be happy 1 second, the next moment you'll be a little upset because what it came out too salty. So all of these things, you kind of take them into consideration when you are in the process of making your dishes. We have one more bag that we're going to add in here, and then we'll be completely finished with the potato part of this. Spread them out, not as much as the last batch. So these might cook a little bit more quicker. Notice how I formally, when I'm taking it down, I layer it down, but I layer it down in a direction where it's going around the rim, and I'm not looking for no kind of a reason for it to come back towards me. As long as you have it controlled in your hand, then you lay it down and push it in the direction where it lays. It's not dropping into a splatter type of means that's going to create much of an issue or a problem for you, which you don't need. So avoid that as much as necessary and as possible. After this batch, we are ready into probably 15-20 minutes. Big movie, big movie. All right, so now we sauteed some onions and peppers. What we're gonna do is take that same handheld strainer and we're gonna remove it from the saute pan. Basically dredging it up completely over the potatoes. And then we're gonna mix it all in together. I'm gonna add on some complete seasoning. And all you have to do is serve it. That's all. Bring that on over here. And over here. Very own breakfast potatoes. All you gotta do is put on your table and let them go to work. That is it for the breakfast potato. And we are just about through with making our potato cake. Have just a few more, probably at least 2 or 3 more batches of it remaining in the bowl. And we are gonna get it there, but anyway, just for the purpose of seeing it all, here's what we look like. It looks like it just has this dynamic look, like, you know, hey, let me have one, just one. So, you know, these are some nice potato cakes that you would be able to enjoy. I know that you will, because I will enjoy them myself. As I say, you could eat them for lunch, snack, or for breakfast. Whatever rocks your boat. Enjoy yourself. Thank you for spending this time with Chef Anthony. Have a good day.